هو كان الافتراض لديه أنه بعملية استراتيجية ممكن يحصل على ورقة من خلالها يقدر يرفع الحصار عن غزة، يحرر زملائه في السجن، ويكرس نفسه كزعيم لدى الشعب الفلسطيني ولدى حماس. لكن واضح أن الحسابات لم تأتي كما أراد، والرد الإسرائيلي امتلكت إسرائيل المسوغ لرد غير.
Yahya Sinwar, seen in this video leaving his tunnel base with his family a few days after the October 7th attacks in Israel. It has now been revealed the main reason he ordered the strike and how he miscalculated everything. This was revealed by his friend who spent time with him in prison in Israel. Yahya Sinwar spent about 2 decades in Israeli prison. He was later released in 2011 as part of a prisoner swap of one Israeli soldier who was released by Hamas. According to his friend Esmat Mansour, Yahya Sinwar's main objective was to release another friend in Israeli prison. He ordered the invasion of October 7th in order to grab some hostages that will be used in a prisoner swap that will eventually lead to the release of his friend who is being held in Israeli prison. His second objective was to use the hostages to negotiate and force Israel to lift the siege on Gaza. By the way, it's not only Israel that blockades Gaza. Egypt blockades them too, because they simply don't want any ideology or insecurity exported to their country. In fact, since this conflict started, the Egyptians immediately started reinforcing the border walls to prevent any incursion from Gaza. And since Israel informed them of their intention to extend their operations to Rafah, they've deployed 40 tanks, soldiers, and policemen to secure their border with Gaza. So they simply don't want anyone from Gaza to cross over to Egypt when the impending invasion of Rafah by Israel starts. Now, back to Yahya Sinwar's miscalculation as explained by his friend Mansour. Sinwar thought that it would have been business as usual, that the world would be able to force Israel not to escalate things the way they are currently doing, that Israel will quickly be forced to negotiate with them, and like in the past, they will be able to secure the release of his friend and other prisoners and be able to lift the blockade of Gaza, all in exchange for the hostages. If these were truly the objectives of Yahya Sinwar for starting October 7th, then it goes against the narrative that they wanted to get back their land.
ولذلك يتكلمون الآن إنه هذا المعركة 7 أكتوبر فتحت أفق لموضوع الرؤية السياسية، وهنا يعودون إلى بضاعتهم القديمة حل الدولتين. وهنا أقول مسألتين في حل الدولتين. المسألة الأولى، نحن لا نقبل حل الدولتين، هذا مصطلح مرفوض، لأنه معناه أنك أنت لك دولة موعودة ومطلوب لك أيضا تعترف بالدولة الأخرى اللي هي الكيان الصهيوني، تعترف بشرعيته، فهذه مرفوض. إحنا بالنسبة لموقف حماس وموقف الشعب الفلسطيني في أغلبيته العظمى خاصة بعد 7 أكتوبر، أظن تجدد الحلم والأمل. فلسطين من البحر إلى النهر، من الشمال إلى الجنوب. مشروعنا الفلسطيني اللي عليه شبه إجماع وطني فلسطيني، حتى اللي عنده رأي مضطر أن يقوله بسبب مقتضيات السياسة، لكن الإجماع الفلسطيني أو شبه الإجماع الفلسطيني حقنا في فلسطين لا تراجع عنه، من البحر إلى النهر ومن رأس الناقورة إلى الرشاش أو خليج العقبة. هذا حقنا الفلسطيني، ووجودنا حديث وقديم، والكيان طارئ علينا منذ 48 الكيان الصهيوني.
And considering the number of casualties after the atrocities, no country, not even an Arab country, will fail to retaliate because it was unprovoked. They were minding their business during a national holiday and all of a sudden bombs started flying into their territory. The New York governor explains what the United States would have done if a neighboring country did what Hamas did to Israel.
Call out Hamas for what it is, and it is a terrorist organization that must be stopped. No one, no country should live with that threat, that specter over them. And for those who don't understand this dynamic here in our own state, in our own country, I'll give you an example. I'm from Buffalo. Anybody realize that? If Canada someday ever attacked Buffalo, I'm sorry, my friends, there would be no Canada the next day, right? Right? I love Canada, but we did have the War of 1812 and they did burn Buffalo, so there might be a little conflict here. But think about that. That is a natural reaction. You have a right to defend yourself and to make sure it never happens again. And that is Israel's right.
The governor later apologized for her poor choice of words, that her analogy doesn't mean that Israel is justified in using heavy force. Anyway, this shows you how people feel about the whole situation. The people that started this, how in the world did they feel that retaliation wouldn't be hard considering the magnitude of the atrocities they committed? Many feel this way, even in Gaza. That's why they have staged many protests against Hamas the past few days, demanding for their surrender and release of hostages so they can go back to their normal lives, and they keep rejecting all ceasefire deals. Can't they see they don't have the upper hand? It is he who has the upper hand in a negotiating table that can dictate the pace and the direction of the negotiation. They are coming at them, but because they feel they can hide behind civilians who they don't care about, by the way, they just want this conflict to continue without end. This is the Rafah crossing where people tried to grab food from the humanitarian aid truck. They were dispersed by police. Most of this aid that is getting into Gaza usually end up in the streets being sold at the black market. Look at this one here. They are selling this from Saudi Arabia with their cartons bearing inscriptions from Saudi. All these donations are not supposed to be for sale, so there's a problem. Either the Hamas operatives who disperse people that want to grab the humanitarian aid from the trucks, they are taking them and selling them to people in order to make money, or the people that got them didn't need them, they needed money for something else, so they put it up for sale. In the next few days, it's very likely that the Israeli forces will extend their operations to Rafah. Will Hamas accept the ceasefire deal before the time? Or will they continue to hold out, thinking that the world will pressure Israel not to invade Rafah? Which of course Israel will never accept. There are reports that the US advised them against Gaza invasion in the first place. They warned them that their soldiers will suffer heavy casualties because of the urban terrain in Gaza. But they've been able to do it with far fewer casualties than the US predicted. So it doesn't look like they will stop now. They feel they are in the final stages of the conflict and the hostages are being held in Rafah. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they will move into Rafah. Thanks for watching.